Many of us that play heavy music really enjoy the sound or a variation of an overdrive pedal. Now, today we are used to having many a flavor, many a selection of overdrive pedals to choose from and to kind of get our own signature tone with a particular amp or modeler that we are boosting. Although I still think using an overdrive pedal into an XFX is kind of weird, but hey, I digress. But before we had, you know, things like the Fortin pedals or the Pepper's Dirty Tree, we had to rely on things like a Maxon OD808. This is the extreme version of that classic green pedal, which is basically a repackaged, reissued Ibanez OD808. Now back in the 80s, they were still kind of using overdrives basically for solo boosts and things like that. They weren't really using them for rhythm tones as the metal players later did in the 1990s. But in the 80s, you had a really unique, a fairly rare pedal from Maxon called the Super Tube Screamer. And this was my secret sauce for many, many years. And no, I don't mean many, many years as in I was around it in the 80s using this thing. I mean the reissue ST9 Pro Plus, but we'll get to this in just a minute. What's cool about the Super Tube Screamer, or the ST1 as Maxon calls it, is it has a mid-range boost that really adds some nice quackiness while also kind of low shelving and lowering the low end as a regular Tube Screamer TS9 circuit would. However, with this mid-range boost, you can get all sorts of cut for your tritones or your gentiness. Yeah, I said that word, gentiness. But back in the 80s, this was mainly for getting your solo to cut. However, this is the unsung hero, at least it was for my videos and my guitar tone for many, many years. Now the Super Tube Screamer was around in about 85, 86, and it was only made for a few years, and I'm not even sure that these were available in the United States at the time. Now this very clean, pristine version I got used with the box and the manual off of Reverb, but these are increasingly rare and very tough to find as time goes by. However, these were reissued by Maxon a few years ago, about 10 years ago, as the ST9 Pro Plus. Now this is an updated, less noisy, more aggressive version of the original Super Tube Screamer. However, it has some cool bells and whistles like being able to operate on 18 volts, and it has a low end boost. So if you want to retain the low end that typically is cut with the Tube Screamer style circuit, you can add it back in with the ST9 Pro Plus. Now, as far as I can tell, the ST9 Pro Plus is no longer made because they're being blown out everywhere, and these things are getting increasingly hard to find as well. But if you act now, you can basically get them for like 189 bucks. I actually bought a second one because Musician's Friend is blowing these things out. Normally they're like $240. So yeah, it's a pretty good deal if you want one of these pedals. The ST9 Pro Plus and the Super Tube Screamer have been one of my favorite pedals for a really long time, and this was always something that got me out of binds, that when I found an Overdrive to just not be working and all the usual suspects weren't really working, this would be my go-to, especially with things like soldados, as you heard, and rectifiers, 2-channel rectifiers, things of that nature. Now these days, I'll typically go for a, Peppers pedal, Dirty Tree, or a Fort and Blade. However, yeah, unsung hero, and these are really the Overdrive pedals that time forgot. All the pickable links down below in the description. You've been wonderful, I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.